Hello, what's going on? Rich Ryan here with TORC today, bringing you a map review for the 2022 Spartan Race, South Carolina. We're going to do super and the sprint course. We're going to do a lot of focusing on that sprint course in particular, as it is the final stop of the age group national series for Spartan. But first, before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to our Patreon members here at TORC. Every dollar that is donated and supported to TORC go directly to the athletes. So shout outs to Brant Boggs, Brent George, Amy Remmer, Dustin Needham, Kevin Gregory, Micah Dorfner, Kenny West, Ashley Reese, Frank Walsh, AJ Weiss, John Ross Wiley, Bennett Crothers, and Mike Stefano. That's our guy. So if you guys like these map reviews, make sure you give us a like, give us a subscribe so you don't miss any of those. Make sure to check out our Patreon page so you can get early access to things like this and just to let us know that this is information that you like and you want to keep coming your way. All right, cool. Let's look at this map. So looking at it right away, the main thing, if you look at this map in general, you see like some long straightaways, but really, I don't believe that this is going to be a very fast course. What I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom into the elevation profile before we do anything here. And kind of look, and that's just going to give us a better idea of what we're kind of looking at for the course itself. So you can see there's really no part of this course that is actually flat. It starts at about 400 feet. It drops right down to, just under maybe 410. So again, we're at 475, drops down to 410. So, we're not losing or gaining a ton throughout this race, but you can see there are very sharp inclines and very sharp declines that are only going to be like 50 to 60 feet at a time, but it's undulating the entire time. So although this course looks like it's going to be fast, I don't believe that it will be fast. There's going to be little tiny parts of this race. They're just going to take energy from you, the athlete, and it's going to just be kind of a grind. You can see in the super course, let's go over the super course first. I get a sharp incline here. And then even in this back straightaway area that we can see, it's still going to be up and down almost the entire way, the entire time on the course. It's also going to be hot. It looked like it was going to be rainy, but that doesn't seem to be the case now, but you can still maybe expect some mud just because of the humidity. Early in the morning, there might be some dew that settles, and there might just be weather. It may just create some mud here, especially on the sprint area. And the mud in this region of the country can be kind of clay, that like nasty orange stuff. So even if you don't believe it's going to be wet, I would still wear a shoe that has a more aggressive lug just to make sure you can handle the mud that does come. Looks like we're going to have a lot of soft surfaces throughout this course anyway. So a bigger, more aggressive lug on your shoe, I think, will be helpful for the majority of the race. So just be aware that, look, there's very sharp, steep drops here. Like as we're getting into the second mile, this goes from 475 down to like 415. So again, not a huge hill, but it's like 50 feet straight down. So if you're not prepared to really bomb those really short ones, and that's something that you could also just kind of keep in mind, is that just going really hard for a very short amount of time down, because a 50-foot hill that's that steep is only going to take a couple of seconds to get down, maybe 10 to 20 seconds or something like that. So be aggressive on these downhills and know that they're not like these long, crazy hills that you might get in something like Utah, and then that there's going to just be undulating terrain the entire time. So this is not going to be a rhythm course. If you think it's going to be, if you're going to try to find your rhythm, it's not going to happen. So just know it's going to kind of be a grind, and you're going to have to mentally stay with it as you're going up and down these short, small hills. And even just like these little things, these little peaks and valleys that are going to only be, 10 or 15 feet, still annoying, still just take a long time. So just be aware. The sprint course doesn't have as much because it looks like the back wooded part is going to be a part that is very up and down, but you still get a lot of that here. I don't necessarily a sprint's not a fast course at all in general. A sprint's generally a fast course. So still expect times to be okay, but 400 feet over the course of 3.1 miles is like decently hilly for a course like this. It's not going to be a flat, fast sprint, and just like the undulating parts are going to help make sure that your rhythm is going to get broken up. So make sure that you are prepared for that. It's not going to be a rhythm run by any means. So you are going to need to be prepared for that. So there's a lot of So as we start off here, again, it's going to scream downhill. It screams downhill for about 100 feet. So it's going to be kind of gradual here. So it's going to be kind of a fast start. The first 3, you're going to get the rolling mud right away. Oh, it's over walls, rolling mud, and inverted wall. Rolling mud this early is pretty interesting. I kind of like that being in the beginning. Rolling mud is kind of a grind later. So just kind of getting through this and getting it done early, you're going to get wet right away. So again, like I said, so it's probably going to be very muddy in this region right here. So again, those thick lugged shoes, I think, are going to be very helpful, and just know you're going to get wet and you're going to be muddy from that point on. So they're going to get you wet right away, which is a bit of a mental challenge. But and as you go through this, because you have monkey bars not far after, where you're going to have to go up let's see, it's probably a steep hill, like right around here. This looks like a big hill. And then monkey bars are at that 4th position. Because of this mud situation, as you're going through rolling mud, I would try my best to keep my hands away from that. If it is this orange mud clay, thick stuff, it gloms onto your hands and it is slippery. And I'm guessing, like I said, because it is going to be a humid day, the monkey bars are going to be wet. Like, even if it's not rain, it's going to still be wet. So just making sure you can do whatever you can do to manage the moisture on your hands. And as it comes out, you get into that super course, you're hitting Olympus. So same deal. Just make sure you have some sort of plan going into that, whether it's holes, chains, or holds, or some combination of them all, and stick to that plan. Don't go in there without a plan and try to wing it and be like, oh, I'll grab a chain here, grab a hold here. I'd probably go knees on this right away because of the moisture. It's going to be hard to get your feet up onto the board. And after coming, this is probably going to all be mud in here. I'm guessing this is going to be a slippery spot and probably where a lot of people are going to have a hard time. As it comes through, there's a lot of penalty loops here. So it says, this is the water crossing here. I think it's just a creek on 5. So Olympus is going to be here. So you're going to be wet. You've gone through 2 things of water already. So Olympus is going to be pretty challenging today. So just know that that's true. Twister and the box back and forth. So with the box, treat it like a pull-up. Grab as high as you can, pull yourself up, and then try to get your feet on the rope. If you don't have that type of strength, you can grab it and then kind of swing your leg up over the top. But it's pretty early in the race, so you should still have that kind of pulling strength to get over that box. Pipe layer, not hard. Just get through it. Then beater and bender, which bender has a penalty loop for whatever reason. So yeah, a lot of penalty loops here. I've had some questions if you should just kind of skip it. If you don't think you're going to make it, just try it. Try all of the penalty loop obstacles. Sometimes you will catch a break and the penalty loop will be shorter than the actual time it takes to get through the obstacle, but just try it. You need that feedback. You need to know what you need to work on. So get through these obstacles, give them all a shot. So again, as we're going through this part, it's all going to be pretty undulating up and down. It's not going to be a great spot. Like, this looks like it's a really good spot to run from 8 to beater. You're going to get about, a mile and a half of pretty good running with just pipe layer in there. So if you're a good technical runner, if running is your strength, even though it's trail, this could be a good time to kind of establish yourself and really kind of make sure you can have that ability to run here, if that's something you're looking for. And just know, if you are not a runner, and this is a part that you're not going to necessarily make up ground, is just to kind of suck it up and just deal with it, because this isn't going to be incredibly fast. So latch on the people and grind up and down these little hills, and just know no one can just run away from you because of their flat running speed. So this might just be a place where you're going to have to be a little bit uncomfortable going into it. So this might right after the box and right before beater is really going to be kind of like some open area without any obstacles in there. You got Stairway to Sparta, which on the super doesn't have the rock hold. It's just be the regular planks that come across. And then you're coming into the 7-foot wall and then back onto the sprint course. So that's the super loop. Let's just kind of go over the sprint itself then, because like I said, this is the final stuff. This is the National Series race, which will take place on Sunday. So again, it's going to have that really fast start. It's going to go down, but right into rolling mud. Like I said, that's pretty wild, right? So you might want to establish yourself. This is right away. So this is going to be pretty hectic because of the start. So people are going to be pretty close together. And because it's so slow, I actually don't know. Everyone's going to kind of, I would still try to establish myself, try to get to there pretty close to the front because it is slow and there's no way that anybody can make moves on each other here because it's almost like single file going through this thing. Even if you spread it across, there's always going to be like one or two good spots to go over that everybody goes through the rolling mud anyway. So you're better off being in the position where you want to be as opposed to just like waiting for it all to kind of bunch up, because as soon as that first person leaves that rolling mud, they're going to have an advantage and they're going to have a bit of a running advantage coming out of it. So this is going to be a crazy start. This is going to be a really, really crazy start. Yeah, that's really interesting. And then right into an inverted wall. So like this is going to stretch things out from 2, like whoever can get there in that spot, and then inverted wall. And then like you're at that first mile. So, and after this hill, right? So I would really try to establish myself. So this is going to be like annoying how aggressive you're going to have to be to get to this beginning spot and then kind of get into this hill. And this is where this hill here is where things are probably going to kind of slow down and the race is going to kind of settle in. You're going to get right into monkey bars again. It's going to be muddy, so make sure you're taking your time. I would probably go bent arm here and just making sure that like my hands are just as dry as possible, which might be the challenge. Coming out of that, you're going to have a bit of an uphill coming into the hurdles, no problem. Then back into this is Atlas, which again might be muddy. So if it is muddy here, make sure you're using your like knee to roll it up. That's a strategy you can do, like kneeling against the ground and rolling that big Atlas stone up your leg. 15, and then the 16 A-frame. So this is interesting, right? It's another really kind of slow, like, so there's really not a great opportunity to open up and run. So like I said, in terms of a sprint, like this is going to be like a pretty big rhythm breaker all across this entire first like mile and a half, 2 miles. Then we're going to get in some obstacles. We get to spear throw right after mile 2. And this is of course going to be make or break just for anybody. Penalty loop. I wouldn't count on this being a penalty loop. Sometimes they say that it is, and then it ends up being burpees. I would count on this being burpees because generally that's what they've been doing. And then multi-rig, and then this looks like a pretty long sandbag carry. I mean, I would imagine it's not going to be super long, but this is a place where you're really going to have to go. By the second mile, after the spear throw, you really have to be ready to be uncomfortable this entire time and just being able to push your way to the finish, honestly, because as it gets into this last mile, it's pretty heavily dense with obstacles. So you're going to have your sandbag and then a barbed wire crawl, and then this looks like a bucket, right? So you're right away, like in the second mile into this third mile, it's going to be 2 big carries back to back. I would try to hammer them both. If you don't make that move that you need to on the sandbag, then people might get away from you, and this bucket is not too far, and they might already be gone. So I would really try to maintain contact through the sandbag and then make that move and bucket. 22, we got rope climb, Z-wall. This is all slow. So if you are obstacle proficient, like you got to make sure you can kind of make this move here. Vertical cargo, and then dunk wall, slip wall, herd hoist, helix is right before the fire jump. So not a ton of moves you can make here. Like same as like rolling mud, like dunk wall and slip wall, there's not really a place where you can make moves. So really your last ditch effort to do so is going to be on bucket, or if you are particularly fast through Z-wall, which is 23 here. So I wouldn't leave the last obstacle gauntlet for like the moves that you want to make. I would do that at sandbag, and at bucket, that's really going to be the place where you can make that moves. If you're good at barbed wire, it's another place where you can make up a good amount of ground here. But after that bucket, there's probably not going to be a lot of shifting and moving in those places, and then just finish this thing up. So that's really what we're looking like for this course. It is going to be interesting. I think that rolling mud is, if I was running this race, I would be looking at that rolling mud right away as my first main target to mentally focus on, and making sure you're getting in the position that you need to be in early, because after that, like, it slows people down almost immediately. People are going to come out of that not with the vigor that they had going into it, even though it's so early. It just breaks rhythm and saps people so much. There's this hill right after that starts to lead into monkey bars. Again, keeping hands dry. Work this hill a little bit, but don't kill yourself because it is pretty early. work the sandbag, work the bucket. Don't leave things at the chance on this last back straightaway to kind of finish up, because you're not really going to have a great place to kind of go and move. But really not a ton of failable obstacles on the sprint course. It's just monkey bars, spear throw, Z-wall. Wait, is that right? Where's multi-rig? Sorry that I'm losing my... And multi-rig. Multi-rig's 18. Okay. So that's right after the spear. So a multi-rig after a spear is actually a good place for it, unless you miss the spear. And if you do miss the spear at mile 2, like of a 3-mile race, you're probably in trouble. But like your heart rate's going to come down. You're going to come out of that. If you hit it, you're going to be full of energy, and that multi-rig is going to be easy. So, and it's going to be all rings, I'm guessing, for the sprint. So just ring all the way through. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Again, unless it's burpees after the spear throw, and they have you do it in the mud, but it says penalty loop, but I wouldn't count on it. So hope this is helpful. Again, make sure you are giving us a subscribe, give us a like if you want to see more of this type of content coming to you, and give our Patreon a look so you can get some early access to this type of content, and you can support the athletes of TORC and help them kind of push the results of this sport forward. So that's it. Signing off. Talk to you soon.